Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are taking a look at Combine Risers and Fallers Wide Receiver Edition. This is probably going to be a kind of long video. Please bear with me. I've done over 100 hours of data entry from 2015 through 2025. Taking a look at all quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. Anyone drafted at all. Charted out all of their height and weight, all of their measurables. Taking a look at all of their athletic testing. And I have a bunch of predictive data geared towards success, which I'm going to share with you in this video, as well as all of these combine measurables and everything. So please like, subscribe, comment below, and let's get into it. So to begin with, we have Makai Lemon. He's 5'11", 192 pounds, basically what we expected, a 26.8 BMI. That's absolutely fantastic. One of the best in the class here. Does have the smallest hands at 8.75 inches. I've put these into decimal form, so understand that, with the eighths that are involved here. But 8.75 inch hands and 30.5 inch arms. Did not do any of the drills listed here. He did do some of the on the field drills though. Had a drop or two, but overall, I don't think it's anything to particularly worry about. I think he's going to be a really good player. Taking a look at Carnell Tate, 6'2", 192 pounds. So he is one of these. He came in a little bit shorter and lighter than I would have hoped, but that's a 24.6 BMI, not particularly great, but the hand size is fantastic. Second best in the class at 10.25 inches. Arm length is good as well at 31.75. Now, he posted a 4.53 40 and a 1.61 split. That gives him a 92.4 speed score. Not particularly great, but his form was not great. He did stumble in one of his attempts, and I think he's faster than that. And I think people that are freaking out about this are ridiculous, because this is a bad time for him, in my opinion, and it's still a perfectly reasonable number for somebody of his size. And even more specifically, the role I think he's going to be asked to play, which I think he's going to be asked to be an X, but landing spot could dictate that. Moving on to Jordan Tyson, ended up being 6'2", 203 pounds with a 26.1 BMI, 9.13 inch hands, and 30.25 inch arms. Didn't do any of the stuff on the screen here except for the bench press, which he put up a respectable 26 reps in, so props to him for that. Moving on to Omar Cooper, somebody I'm really excited about, and I really liked his tape. Ended up being 6 foot, 199 pounds. That is exactly the size of Malik Neighbors. Basically the same thing as Chase, 1 pound lighter, I think, than Chase ended up being, give or take. Fantastic size, though. That gives him a 27 BMI, which is fantastic for one of these wide receivers that we want to break tackles. And it's part of what the size thing that helps Chase and Neighbors break tackles. Ended up with a 4.42 40-yard dash time, which is fantastic. I was worried he might be, in the 4.5s, but great number. 1.55 10-yard split. A 102.8 speed score, which is good as well. Taking a look at Jacoby Lane, ended up being 6'4", 200 pounds, kind of like Carnell Tate, one of these kind of taller, skinnier guys. A 24.3 BMI, which is one of the lower numbers here, but the hand size and arm length are fantastic. He has the biggest hands at 10.5 inches and the second biggest arms at 32.63. Also had a good 40 time, 4.47, 1.58 split, 104.3 speed score. A 40-inch vertical is really good, and a 10.9 broad jump. So a lot to be excited about from an athleticism standpoint with Jacoby Lane. Taking a look at Jeremy Bernard. So he ended up being 6'1", 206 pounds. That's a 27.2 BMI. Absolutely solid there. 9.88 inch hands and 30.38 inch arms. Ended up doing basically everything here as far as the drills are concerned. So he ran a 4.48 with a 1.52 split. That's a 102.3 speed score. Only had a 32.5 inch vertical, not particularly great. A 10.5 broad jump, but a 6.71 three-cone time was best in the class, at least among the people listed here, and had a 4.31 20-yard shuttle. Taking a look at Chris Brazzell, somebody else I like a lot. He ended up being a little bit shorter than I thought he was going to be, probably about the same weight I figured. So 6'4", 198 pounds. He's one of these kind of taller, skinnier guys, like I mentioned with, Carnell Tate and such. Ended up with 9-inch hands, not particularly great, but 32.75 inch arms. So the wingspan is the best in the entire class. Ended up with a fantastic 40 to 4.37. Easily the best out of, well, maybe not easily the best, but one of the better ones out of these really tall guys, with a 1.52 split and a 113.0 speed score, which was best in the class. Moving on to Zachariah Branch, he ended up being 5'9", 177 with a 26.1 BMI, 9-inch hands, 29.38 inch arms, which was tied for the worst in the class. Did run a 4.35 and a 1.5 split, but that's only a 93.4 speed score because he's shorter and smaller. A 38-inch vertical and a 10.5 broad jump, along with 20 bench reps. Taking a look at Skylar Bell, somebody that's also been picking up some steam lately, ended up being 6 foot 192 with a 26 BMI, 10-inch hands, 31.13-inch arms, ran a 4.4 flat with a 1.53 10-yard split. 101 speed score for him, a ridiculous 41-inch vertical, and 11.1 broad jump, which did lead the class here. Antonio Williams, somebody else who I like as well, is kind of a sleeper. 5'11", 187, a 26.1 BMI, 9.25-inch hands, 30.75 arm length, ran a 4.41 and a 1.55 split. That's a 97.5 speed score because he's not the biggest guy. A 39.5-inch vertical, 10.4 broad jump, and a 7.0 flat 3-cone, along with 10 bench press reps. I'm not sure exactly why he did the bench press, but I'm not particularly worried. He's not going to be a boundary X or anything, so nothing to worry about there. Denzel Boston, 6'4", 212, 25.8 BMI, 9.75-inch hands, 32-inch arms. Didn't do a lot of these drills. Did do the vertical at a 35-inch vertical and did the 20-yard shuttle and ran a 4.28, which was best among these players. Taking a look at Malachi Fields, another guy that had been getting some steam after the Senior Bowl. 6'4", 218 pounds, does weigh the most, and he was actually 6'4.5 inches tall, 26.5 BMI, 9-inch hands, which is kind of small for somebody that's this big, 32.13-inch arms, so large arm length as well. Now, 40-yard dash time was not great, but he's also a massive dude. So 4.61, 1.63 split, 101.8 speed score because he is very big, 38-inch vertical, 10.4 broad, 6.98 3-cone, which is a little bit better than Antonio Williams, which is kind of scary for Antonio Williams, to be honest with you. And a 4.35 shuttle, which was worst among this list, but not significantly worse, I guess, than, for instance, Jeremy Bernard. Taking a look at KC Concepcion, 6 flat, 196 pounds, a little bit lighter than players like Malik Neighbors and Chase, but basically the same size. 26.6 BMI, 9.25-inch hands, 30.25 arm length. Didn't do any of the drills except mentioned here, except for the bench press, which he had 26, so impressive number there. Elijah Surratt ended up being 6'2", 210 pounds, 27.0 BMI, massive 10-inch hands, 31.25 arm length, and didn't do any of these drills listed. Dion Burks, somebody that ran really fast, so he's 5'10", 180, 25.8 BMI, 9.5-inch hands, 29.38-inch arms, so tied for worst in the class. Ran a 4.3 flat with a 1.49 split, which is best among this list. 101 speed score because he is a little bit smaller. 42.5-inch vertical, that was crazy, and 10.11 broad jump along with 26 bench reps. And finally, Brennan Thompson here, 5'9", 164, so going to be an outlier as far as weight is concerned. Only 24.2 BMI, 9-inch hands, 29.3 inch arms. Ran a 4.26, which is best among this class with a 1.54 split. 94.1 speed score because he's also just kind of a smaller guy. But overall, I was really surprised that Carnell Tate did these, and a lot of the guys, I wouldn't say it's disappointing, but I was really hoping that some of the higher end guys might do something and perform a little bit better than they did at the combine. Now, moving on to a couple of other things, I have these guys' college dominators, the percentile, college target shares, the percentile, as well as their speed score, burst score, agility score, and catch radius, if I could get those numbers, along with the percentiles among collegiate prospects. So at the top, we have Makai Lemon with a 39.2 dominator rating. That's his market share of the team's yards and touchdowns this season. That's one of the best numbers. I believe the second best number here it is, which is 81st percentile among collegiate prospects, with a 28.10 target share percentage, which is 84th percentile. Didn't do any of the other things mentioned here, so I can't give you any data there. Carnell Tate, 32.2 dominator rating, which is his market share, once again, of the team's yards and touchdowns, which is 61st percentile. A 20.3 target share percentage, which is 50th percentile, along with a 92.4 speed score, which is 47th percentile. Now, understand a couple of things. This is going to make him look bad, but he's playing with, Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., so it's not the same as some of these other guys that just did not have NFL level competition alongside them. And once again, he isn't a burner, and he just deep speed is not going to be his biggest strength, but I do think once again that he is probably going to run at his pro day and run a little bit better. The form was not good, and I think that did hurt his number. I think he's faster than it appears. Now, Jordan Tyson, somebody that's my wide receiver, one of the classes of right now. I really, really like him. Injuries have kind of bogged him down, but he is a dominant target earner. And performer. He had a 46.8 college dominator, which is easily the best here, not even close, at 94th percentile. 34.2 college target share, which is 97th percentile as well. We don't have any of the other numbers here. Mark Cooper, 26.4 dominator rating, which is 43rd percentile, and 21.2 target share, which is 55th percentile, along with a 102.8 speed score, which is 79th percentile. Jacoby Lane, 24% college dominator, 35th percentile for him. 21.4 college dominator, or college target share rather, which is 56th percentile. 104.3 speed score, which is 83rd percentile. 132.5 burst score, which is also 92nd percentile. So from an athleticism standpoint, Jacoby Lane is one of the bigger risers here. Moving on to Jeremy Bernard, 23.4 dominator rating, which is 33rd percentile. 22.7 college target share, which is 62nd percentile. 102.3 speed score, which is 78th percentile. 117.8 burst score, which is 30th percentile. 1102 agility score, which is 76th percentile. 9.82 catch radius, which is 38th percentile. And we're going to go and delve into some of these stats here. And some of these are predictive if they do not reach a certain number, which I'm going to explain a little bit later in the video. So stick around for that. Chris Brazel, 33.2 target college dominator rating, rather, which is 65th percentile. 23.8 target share, which is 67th percentile. And 113.0 speed score, which is 95th percentile. So easily the best speed score among these guys. It helps when you're really tall. Taking a look at Zachariah Branch, 25.2 dominator rating, 38th percentile, 24.5 target share, which is 70th percentile, 93.4 speed score, which is 52nd percentile, 127.1 burst score, which is going to be 78th percentile as well. Taking a look at Skylar Bell, 39% dominator rating, which is 81st percentile, 31.8% target share, which is 94th percentile. So very good numbers there. 101 speed score, which is 74th percentile, 136.2 burst score, which is 98th percentile. So big winner from the combine is Skylar Bell. Antonio Williams, 24.8 target dominator rating, rather, which is 37th percentile. 20.3 target share, which is 49th percentile. 97.5 speed score, which is 65th percentile. And 129.2 burst score, which is going to be 85th percentile for him. Denzel Boston, 37.9 dominator rating, which is 78th percentile, 28.7 target share, which is going to be 86th percentile. No other numbers for him there. Malachi Fields, so 25.3 dominator rating, which is going to be 39th percentile, 22.4 target share, which is going to be 60th percentile. 101.8 speed score, which is going to be 76th percentile, 126.6 burst score, which is going to be 77th percentile. 11.33 agility score, which is 41st percentile, but a 10.09 catch radius, which is going to be 84th percentile. So some concerning things here, but some elite numbers such as the catch radius. Casey Concepcion, 36.9 dominator rating, 76th percentile for him. 26.7 target share, which is 80th percentile. None of the other numbers for him. Elijah Surratt, 32.3 dominator rating, which is going to be 62nd percentile. 24% target share, which is going to be 68th percentile, and nothing else for him. And the last two guys, Deion Burks, 30.1 dominator rating, which is 55th percentile, 25.3 target share, which is going to be 74th percentile, 101 speed score, which is 74th percentile, but a ridiculous 137.8 burst score, which is 99th percentile. So as far as pure flat-out athleticism is considered, and not accounting for production, Burks is looking great. And Brendan Thompson with a 31.8 dominator rating, which is 60th percentile, 23.1 target share, which is 64th percentile, 94.1 speed score, which is only 54th percentile for him, though. And we have none of the other numbers for him. And I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you to Big Hunt, SP, Mage Jack, Infamy MTG, AOYOB, The Dawn, and Any Buckeye. Thank you guys. I'm doing this full time now, and without your support, this would not be possible. If you'd like to become a member, I'm going to leave a link in both the comment section and description of this video. You'll receive not only, but including access to a Discord where we have a channel where we have NFL and college football talk, as well as a channel where we have fantasy football talk, and a third channel where we laugh at poor trade offers that we've been offered in fantasy football. But if you'd like to, you can always DM me with private, questions if you don't wish for it to be known by any community members. But you'll also get help with building your fantasy football teams every year. I'll use wins above replacement, as well as just looking at the general lineup and scoring settings to help you with your teams each year. I'll help you with trades that are advantageous based on those factors as well. You'll be part of a fun and growing active community. You'll not only receive access to videos early guaranteed, but you'll also have the ability to ask for personal videos that you and only you can view. Or potentially, if you'd like something to be shown on the channel, you'll have preferential treatment there as well. So please consider becoming a member. I'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video. Taking a look at some predictive stats here, I have whether they're an early declare, which is positively correlated towards NFL success, their age right now, just to give you an idea, their snap percentages, be it out wide or in the slot, their yards per out run, their first downs per out run, their missed tackles forced per reception, and their breakout age. So with Mekhi Lemon, yes, he's an early declare. We like that. Positive green check mark on the profile. 21.7 years old. One of the younger guys in this class. Played for the majority of the time in the slot. 27.9% out wide boundary percentage and 70.6 slot snap percentage. Tied for the highest yards per out run in the class at 3.13, at least among the players listed here. 0.136 first downs per out run, which is one of the better numbers here. 0.265 missed tackles forced per reception, which is also the second highest number here, and 21.3 breakout age, which is not exactly ideal, but there were good players ahead of him. Then we have Carnell Tate. He is also an early declare. He is the youngest player in this class here, 21.1 years old. Played 88.9% of the snaps out wide and 10.1% from the slot. I do think he's probably going to be an X at the next level, but had a really good yards per out run metric at 3.02, 0.121 first downs per out run as well. 0.117 missed tackles forced per reception isn't a particularly great number. He's not great after the catch. That's just not his game. He's one of these boundary guys, in my opinion, for the most part, and I think that's how he's probably going to be used. With a 20.6 breakout age, which I do think is influenced, to be fair to him, by the fact that he's at Ohio State. I think it probably would have been a little bit earlier if he would have been playing at some Joe Schmo school. Now we have Jordan Tyson. He is not an early declare, but he's still only 21.5 years old. Had a 74.7 out wide percentage and 25 slot snap percentage. 2.37 yards per out run. His situation was not quite as great this year. 0.123 first downs per out run. 0.098 missed tackles forced per reception, which is actually the worst among this class, at least in terms of players listed here. So that is a little bit, his game just isn't predicated on elite yak ability. He just gets a lot of separation. He's more of a route you up type of player. But his breakout age of 18.1 is easily the best here, and it's really not even close. He's been good for a long time. I thought he could have come out last year, and I would have taken him in the first round in terms of the talent, but nonetheless, talent has never been a question. It's been health with him. Omar Cooper is not an early declare. He's going to be 22.2, or he is 22.2 years old right now. Played almost exclusively in the slot, 15.7 out wide percentage, 83.3 slot snap percentage, 2.55 yards per out run, 0.120 first downs per out run, 0.391 missed tackles forced per reception. Easily clears, and it's not really double, but it's for all intents and purposes double the next best player. But a breakout age of 21.7 is one of the older numbers in this class here. So a bit of a mixed bag there. I wish he was an early declare, but that missed tackles forced is crazy. I comped him to Deebo Samuel for a reason. Jacoby Lane is an early declare, 21.5 years old right now, 80.9 wide boundary percentage and 19.1 slot snap percentage, 2.42 yards per out run, 0.119 first downs per out run, 0.224 missed tackles forced per reception, and a 20.1 breakout age, kind of in the middle there. Jeremy Bernard is not an early declare, 22.2 years old right now, 62.2 wide percentage and 34.5 slot snap percentage. 1.7 yards per out run is going to be second worst in the class. 0.083 first downs per out run is going to be second worst in this, or at least among the players listed. .265 missed tackles forced per reception, and a 21.8 breakout age is the worst in this class, the oldest breakout age. So he's got a couple of red flags here working against him. Chris Brazzell is also not an early declare, 22.4 years old right now. Played 94.3% out wide and 5.7 from the slot. I do think he can play slot, though. I just think he wasn't asked to do that at Tennessee. 2.57 yards per out run, which I think, given his out wide percentage, is really not a bad number. His first downs per out run of 0.107, also not that great, and 0.113 missed tackles forced per reception is not particularly great. Not a huge yak guy, but I do think that some of these metrics are being skewed by his specific deployment, and I do think he has more versatility. To go along with the 20.0 breakout age, which is kind of middle of the pack, Zachariah Branch is going to be an early declare at 21.9 years old, so basically he's one of the older early declares. 19% out wide percentage and 79.2 slot snap percentage. Kind of a smaller guy, 2.57 yards per out run, 0.127 first downs per out run, 0.246 missed tackles forced per reception, and 21.4 breakout age for him, so one of the older ages. Skylar Bell, so somebody that performed really well at the combine. Unfortunately, he's not an early declare, and he's going to be 23.6 years old, which is pretty easily the oldest among these listed players here. 61.1 out wide percentage and 36.4 slot snap percentage. Very good, though. Tied for first in yards per out run at 3.13, so very impressive there. 0.122 first downs per out run, 0.147 missed tackles forced per reception, and 20.2 breakout age for him. Antonio Williams, also not an early declare, 21.6 years old, 6.7 out wide percentage, and 93% slot snap percentage, 2.27 yards per out run, 0.112 first downs per out run, 0.147 missed tackles forced per reception, and 20.2 breakout age for, or 19.1 rather, breakout age for Antonio Williams. Now we got Denzel Boston. He's not an early declare, 22.2 years old, 81.3 out wide percentage, and 17.6 slot snap percentage, 2.44 yards per out run, 0.136 missed first downs per out run, rather, which is a very good number. 0.112 missed tackles forced for reception, not really a yak guy, and a 20.8 breakout age for him. Now we got Malachi Fields. He's not an early declare. He's 22.2 years old as well. 88.7 out wide percentage and 9.7 slot snap percentage, 2.2 yards per out run, 0.094 first downs per out run, which is going to be the third worst in the class, I believe. 0.116, or out of these choices, 0.116 missed tackles forced for reception, and 19.8 breakout age. Then we got KC Concepcion. He is going to be an early declare, so we like that. 21.4 years old, so one of the younger prospects. 65.3 out wide percentage, 34.4 slot snap percentage, 2.46 yards per out run, 0.128 first downs per out run, 0.229 missed tackles forced per reception, 18.9 breakout age for him. I do like him. I really wish he would have done some of the drills. Hopefully he does some of the athleticism things during his during his pro day rather, because I do think that could really help his profile. Elijah Surratt is not an early declare, 22.7 years old, 86.3 out wide percentage, and 13.7 slot snap percentage. I think he could really be good in the slot or out wide as a Z potentially. I think he could possibly play X too, but I do think he'd be better in the slot or as a Z. 2.39 yards per out run, 0.142 first downs per out run is actually the highest in the class. So that is something to really note about his profile. I really like him. 0.140 missed tackles forced per reception, and a 19.3 breakout age for him, which is one of the better numbers. Deion Burke's not an early declare, going to be 23.1 years old, the second oldest player among these players listed here. 77.9 out wide percentage, 22.1 slot snap percentage, only 1.45 yards per out run, which is easily the worst among these players, and 0.070 first downs per out run, easily the worst among these players. 0.172 missed tackles forced per reception, which is a pretty solid number, and a 20.7 breakout age for him. And finally, Brennan Thompson, not an early declare, going to be 22.6 years old right now, 86.8 out wide percentage, 13.2 slot snap percentage, 2.77 yards per out run, 0.108 first downs per out run, 0.122 missed tackles forced per reception, and a 22.1 breakout age. So in my opinion, one of these guys where it's just a fast combine, but the peripherals just do not look particularly great besides maybe a solid yards per out run metric. And now here is where all of this research, remember 10 years of data entry from every quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end drafted in that 10-year stretch comes into play. So I took a look at all of their burst scores, speed scores, and agility scores, got the averages there, and I have the wave drop off when the average was not met. So with wide receivers in particular, speed score matters the least in terms of if you don't meet it. With a 6.23% drop off when the average was not met. For burst score, 14.39% drop off when that metric was not met. But most importantly, the agility score specifically for wide receivers, we saw a 26.42% wave drop off when the average was not met. So taking a look at all these guys here. With Mekhi Lemon, we don't have any of this yet. He's going to do that during his pro day, so I will update this once we have those numbers. With Carnell Tate, nothing to see for the burst and the agility score. Now, the 92.4 speed score is not going to meet that. That is the least important if you don't meet it out of these. I think he probably does one during his pro day and performs better. Like I said, his form was not particularly great, and he did stumble during one of his attempts. So I'm not particularly worried. I think we'll probably get to update that with the pro day one. With Jordan Tyson, nothing to see here. With Amari Cooper, nothing to see for the burst score and the agility score. He did meet the speed score with a 102.8 though. Jacoby Lane, one of the better athletes at the combine, especially height and weight adjusted. A 132.5 burst score does meet the threshold, as well as his 104.3 speed score. With Jeremy Bernard, one red flag, his burst score of 117.8 did not meet that, but his 102.3 speed score did, and his 11.02 agility score, remember, the lower number, the better, did meet that. Chris Brazzell, nothing to see for the burst and the agility, but his 113.0 speed score was best among this class, which did meet the threshold. We have Zachariah Branch, his 127.1 burst score did, but his 93.4 speed score, because he's kind of a smaller guy, did not. Skylar Bell, somebody who performed really well at the combine, and I'm going to need to do a deep dive on. 136.2 burst score did meet that, as well as his 101.0 speed score. Taking a look at Antonio Williams, his 129.2 burst score did meet the threshold, but his 97.5 speed score did not. With Denzel Boston, nothing to see here. He only did the vertical. He had 35 inches, so nothing to see for the burst. Malachi Fields, his 126.6 burst score did meet the threshold. His 101.8 speed score did as well, but his 11.33 agility score did not, and that, remember, is one of the more important ones. Casey Concepcion and Elijah Surratt, nothing to see here. They did some of the drills, but not the ones necessary to get these numbers for. Deion Burks, his 137.8 burst score did meet the threshold, as well as his 101.0 speed score. And with Brennan Thompson, nothing to see for the burst and the agility, and his 94.1 speed score did not meet the threshold. And finally, I thought this charting it out like this might help make it a little bit easier on the eyes. So in the first column, does this player have a red flag? Yes or no? What is the red flag, if so? And then what is the severity of the red flag? So with Mekhi Lemon, nothing to see yet. Well, I'll update you if so. With Carnell Tate, did he have a red flag? Yes, speed score, but it's a light red flag. It's the least important, and I do think he improves that with a pro day 40-yard dash time. Nothing to see for Tyson, Cooper, or Lane. With Jeremy Bernard, yes, his burst score, which is a moderate concern. Remember, that had about a 14% drop-off in wave. Chris Brazzell, no issues. Zachariah Branch, yes, speed score, but that is the only 6% drop-off generally. So if you had to have one of these red flags out of the three, not a particularly massive one or important one, all things considered. Considering, he is small and very fast. We have Skylar Bell, no issues. With Antonio Williams, yes, to speed score. Kind of same thing, kind of a smaller slot guy, so he would have had to run really fast to make up for that. Denzel Boston didn't do anything, so nothing to see. Malachi Fields, yes, agility score, which is severe in terms of there was about a 26% drop off, so that does scare me a lot and is going to lower him on my boards personally. With Casey Concepcion, didn't do enough for us to see. Same with Elijah Surratt. Deion Burks, no issues. And with Brennan Thompson, yes, his speed score was an issue, but he ran really fast. It's just that he's such an outlier at about 164 pounds that he would have had to run, a sub 4.0 potentially to have a really good speed score at that weight. And so in conclusion, a couple of guys who I think really did help themselves out at the combine. I think Deion Burks and Brennan Thompson did. I'm not sure as far as how much I'm going to be particularly interested in them, given, Burks' lack of production and Thompson's outlier size. But I think Malachi Fields, that agility score does scare me to death, despite the fact that he met the speed and burst score requirements. I think that Skylar Bell is potentially one of the biggest winners here with his really good burst score and speed score. With Chris Brazel, I think he was a winner with his speed score. I think Jacoby Lane also was one of the bigger winners with his good burst score as well as size-adjusted speed score. I think that Carnell Tate isn't necessarily a loser. I think some people are freaking out about it, but speed was never his game. If you thought he was going to run in the 4.3s or something, you're just delusional. That's just not his game. And the style of play, he's not a deep burner, just exclusive deep threat. He can be if he needs to be, but speed is not going to be as important to him as it would be for somebody like Brennan Thompson, for instance. But I do think that one of the bigger losers, in my opinion, and it might not be known to a lot of people, is going to be Malachi Fields, especially with that agility score. Remember, there's a 26.42% wave drop-off when that metric is not met. So I would be very wary of him. At least that's a giant red flag on his profile. We'll see what his draft capital and situation ends up looking like. But who do you think was the biggest winner among these guys? Potentially somebody I didn't mention. Who do you think's the biggest loser? Let me know below in the comment section. Thank you to my Patreon members. Without your support, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you. If you would like to become a member, I'm going to leave a link in the comment section. If you do not wish to or cannot afford to, if you could just like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, I'd really appreciate it. With all that being said, thanks guys, and have a good day.